Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you. If you are a parent of a child with special needs and you're all revved up about finding a perfect diet for your child, then you'll probably be ready to discover how findings of the latest research can make a big change in your child's quality of life. One area in which you are perhaps hoping to find the solutions you've been seeking is that of nutrition. Many children with special needs have a nutritionist who sets specific guidelines for the challenges they are facing. For others, focusing on nutritional goals is a whole family effort. Here, we are going to highlight some of the common nutritional risks children with special needs may face and provide suggestions where appropriate on how to overcome these challenges. We must bear in mind that nutritional challenges are as varied as each individual child, and our aim is merely to provide a general guideline for parents and caretakers. Often, a child with special needs may face specific barriers to having a healthy relationship with food. For instance, a child with autism spectrum disorder may have an intensely negative reaction to particular textures, tastes, or colors. Children with Down syndrome, meanwhile, may prefer softer foods because of difficulties encountered when chewing or swallowing. If a child refuses to eat items outside a select list of foods, the importance of a good supplement may again come into play. Many parents report that simply getting the child to eat at all is a big achievement, and this should remind us that nutrition should be approached on a step by step basis, and that every small victory should be celebrated to the fullest. Today, our professional dietitians here will enlighten us about some specialized diets for children and adults with disorders and disabilities. Our first speaker today, Mrs. Varsha Ferwani, a clinical nutritionist and inch loss expert. She has a bachelor's degree in food science and nutrition, post-graduation diploma in dietetics, and hospital food service Mumbai. Sports nutrition course from K11, gene support nutrigenomic training program with DNA Life South Asia, India. Her area of expertise is in immunity boosting, weight fat loss, diabetes reversal, PCOD reversal, control blood pressure, control high cholesterol, reverse fatty liver, reduce uric acid, fight vitamin deficiency, increase hemoglobin, senior citizen weight loss in children and young adults. He is currently working with Airlift online dietitian and doctors platform, Airlife Studio, various diabetologists, practice nutrition in Inlax and Budrani Hospital and Talwarkar's gym. She also runs clinics in Aund, FC Road and Balewadi. Yes, over to you, Varsha ma'am.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's wonderful being here. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's such a privilege to be a part of this, and I really thank Buddy Center and Karen, for giving me this opportunity that I can share my knowledge. And as well as one more thing is, I'm myself a parent of a special child, so I know my child is 23 now. So I know what exactly as a mother, as a parent, goes on. When you look after a special child. So I would love to share whatever is my knowledge, and I hope that this will be useful in some way or the other to most of the parents. So I'm just sharing my screen now. Yeah. So there's such a lot in this topic that I would like to cover, but then we have limited time. So whatever best I can do, let me see. Um, so to begin with, thank you for the lovely introduction, Karen. And without wasting time, as you have already said that my expertise and my clinics, as I'm working from Aund, and I'm working from Balewadi, and I'm working from FC Road, but now everything is online all across, even overseas people are connecting for their diet help online only. So till the age of 18, children are growing, whether they are children of special needs or normal children. Till the age of 18 is a period of growth. So what we need to look at, we should be having a balanced diet is what is important. Okay, not what is available or not what is liked by the child, but what is a balanced diet is for us to understand. So here, all the essential nutrients, it's important to have them in the required quantity. Okay, so like for example, carbs, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, fiber, calcium, iron, because good amount of calcium is important for strong bones, and protein for muscle mass. For your growth you need a lot of protein. So now okay, we need all the nutrients, we need a balanced diet, but it's important for every parent to know what is the height, what is the weight of the child, and what is like, we have ways and means how we can check the uh, uh, when you stand on a weighing scale, it will scan your body, and it will tell you as to what is your weight. Definitely it gives you your muscle mass as well as your fat percentage also. So now when I was told to speak about this topic, the age group was said that from 10 to 20 years. So after 18, the children are growing, they are in their growing phase, and when they reach puberty and all that, they suddenly, sometimes they, either the child will gain a lot of weight or the child will be very lean if the child is very a fussy eater. So what I feel is like, because the activity is restricted, there are times when some of the children also gain weight. So it could, we will discuss both the things, like either if the child is lean, how it is, and also if he's gaining more weight. Because see, if the child is not eating, or if the child is limited in the activity, suppose the child is wheelchair bound, so in that case, we want to feed the child breakfast, lunch and dinner, but we are not sure what is the right thing, and are we feeding something wrong, by which if the child is gaining weight, he'll go on gaining more weight. So I'm sure that through these slides, you'll get a better picture and better idea of what exactly should be given and what quantity. So when we spoke about carbs and protein, and when we are categorizing food like that, so when I said it is a growing phase, 10 onwards till 18, it is a growing phase. So we need to have a good amount of proteins for our growth. So then what happens is, we as adults itself are having less protein in case we are vegetarians, or our diet is majorly carbohydrate based. So there are now, if we classify proteins, there are two categories of proteins. The first category of protein is a first class protein. The biological value of that protein is good, and it's a complete protein. The non-veg, chicken, egg, fish, paneer and whey protein. This is excellent quality protein. And then when you come to the veg protein, the pulses, the dals and the legumes, some amino acids in this are lacking. So you cannot call it a complete protein. So for example, someone whose daily requirement for protein, a child maybe, is 30 to 40 gram of protein. Now parents need not go into the grams of protein or whatever, but what we have to understand, the first class protein should be included more. And this protein part is majorly neglected. When we are feeding a bread jam or a bread butter as a breakfast, or a poha or a upma as a breakfast, the traditional Indian breakfast, when we are feeding, majorly the proteins are left out. So here what I want to emphasize is, if there are 3 meals, include some protein at least And if possible, try to include the first class protein a little more. If the child eats egg, if the parents eat egg, egg is the best food, the complete protein that you can have. It's so rich in vitamin A, B12, E, and D. And if you're going to eat hardly one egg per day or 2 eggs per day, you really need not throw away the yellow. So, an egg a day keeps the doctor away. It is a complete protein for your immunity. You must include this. Then, egg is an anytime snack also. Sometimes you're not sure when shall I give the egg, but it could just a little bit of scrambled egg also can be a snack. So, what happens is children develop habits early in age. So if from the beginning eggs are not introduced, veggies are not introduced, or parents are themselves not eating, then what happens? Then the child will also not eat. So what I feel is that liking has to be developed. This is good for me. This is medicine for me. It's good for me to have. So change the form, do something, and make sure that you're giving that egg to the child from the beginning. Like for example, a very easy egg pudding can be made just in a pressure cooker also you can make. If you don't have an oven, you can just bake a little one egg and little milk pudding. You can make in your pressure cooker also. So other sources of proteins, like I showed you the food proteins. Now the other sources, for example, the child who has a swallowing problem, or for example, the child who is very fussy in eating, then a supplement is a must, because there is no way, if the child is of 25 kgs or 30 kgs, there is no way that you're going to be able to meet that protein requirement if there is swallowing problem or whatever, you know. So for that growth we need, even soya atta, soya powder is very rich in proteins. The sattu that we make at home, or it's available also outside, even that is rich in protein. They put the sattu in the what you say, buttermilk, or they'll put in water itself and have. So these habits have to be inculcated into the children. Amway protein is very nice. Now sometimes what happens, when it comes to supplement, parents are taken aback. Are you sure supplement? And this kind of supplement, the picture which I've shown, I'm not saying give this supplement. I'm just saying that if your child is not getting adequate protein, one spoon, normal spoon, a 10 gram or 15 gram ka spoon, if you add protein powder of any powder of your choice, if you think your child is not getting sufficient protein, it will definitely help. Now coming to healthy fats, nuts and seeds are very important. Like almonds and walnuts should be a daily habit. We want their brains to be sharper, so we want them to have healthy fats. We need not be scared of fats. A little bit of ghee, a little bit of olive oil, and all this is good. And also, if the child eats fish and all, fish, flaxseed, all these in some way or the other can be incorporated. Now, coming to carbohydrates, there are two types of carbohydrates. So the first is the simple carbohydrates, and the other is the complex carbohydrates. The simple carbohydrates like sugar, glucose, fructose, and lactose. And the complex carbohydrates are still better, the cereals, pulses, and the vegetables. Why? Because these the complex carbohydrates have a lot of fiber in it, and fiber is very, very important. So actually carbs are the easiest source of energy, and we are used to eating a lot of carbs. But we should understand, if there's excess carbs and the carbs are not used, then what will happen? It's going to be stored as fat. In some children, you might see that at a very early age, they'll start developing a tummy. They have a little bit of belly fat and they are growing, especially girls also, because that activity is not so much. They can't do such a lot of running around like other children. So in that case, you have to be really very careful that you're restricting this kind of, simple carbohydrates. Now, when we spoke about fiber, it's extremely important. So in what form can we give can we increase the fiber of, our children? Of course, vegetables are very rich in fiber. So soup, salad, and sabzi. So we are giving this at home, but sometimes soup is not very common for us. But the simplest recipes of a tomato soup, a palak soup, maybe a mushroom soup, a broccoli soup, just a mixed vegetable soup. If you develop that habit in the child from the beginning, if there's a swallowing problem, it can be pureed. A little bit of butter, a little bit of ghee will increase the way it tastes, the palatability. And salads can be, if parents are eating, if it is a daily habit, if it's always there on the plate, then children will develop the habit. They will know that no, every day we have to eat this, whatever the koshambir is made, or whatever mixed salad with olive oil or something is made. It has to be a habit from the beginning. If that habit is not, if the child will always say, I don't want a vegetable, I don't want a vegetable, I'll just have jam and roti. But if that habit is not put in that child from the beginning, then later it's a lot of problem, because lack of fiber will give lot of other problems. And whatever is the sabzi that is being cooked, always make sure that in the thali, even for adults or for children, whoever, the amount of sabzi should be more, than the amount of rice, or than the amount of chapati that we eat. Now sugar is very, very harmful. Majorly what happens, we are, because the child is not having much of food, we tend to give, time and time again, some chikki, some laddu or something like that. Okay, at least kuch to pet mein gaya. But actually sugar is very inflammatory, and sugar is very, very harmful. Whether it is a child, doesn't matter. What I feel is sugar should always be restricted. Rather focus on protein intake. And this kind of bakery items and all, they contain lot of sugar. Not that parents are not aware, they are aware. Everybody is aware nowadays. They are restricting, they are eating healthy. But sometimes some children are like, kuch bhi nahi kha raha hai. At least ye to kha raha hai, to let him eat. But what I feel is like, it's very difficult later, if a child gains weight, very difficult to make them lose that weight. If at all, it is the parent who is lifting the child always and putting the child on the commode, or helping them to, they do their daily routine and all. Imagine the plight of the mother or the father, or whoever is helping the child. Even parents get old after a certain time. And if that weight is not controlled, it is a lot of problem later to lift a heavy child. Most of the places in our country are not even accessible. Everywhere you go, there is staircase. So if you have and if there is no lift, nothing, if you have to lift your child to take the child to the clinic or some doctor or some physiotherapy, imagine if the child is heavy. So the first or second slide which I showed, you should know what is the ideal body weight my child should have. Is my child getting heavy? If the child is getting heavy, even if it is 1 or 2 kgs extra, you should make sure that in a healthy way, with the correct guidance, make sure that your child weighs what is required and the excess weight is not there. What happens with the excess weight is like, nowadays we are having, even normal youngsters, 20 and 21 years of age, are having diabetes. So if they can have diabetes by eating wrong food or whatever, not paying attention to themselves, not exercising, anybody can have diabetes. So these things are becoming very, very common. So fast food is once in a while is okay, but sometimes if someone is just used to a lot of Coke or something, it's not good. So sugary drinks, especially, even if it is a limbu sharbat or something like that, or if it is a lassi, it's a salted lassi is better than a lassi with lot of sugar. So beware. So what I'm saying is, so restricted mobility and wrong eating, this will lead to a lot of weight gain. So that's what we should be careful of. Now, many children have faced the problem of constipation. Some of the issues could be constipation, of course, weight gain, constipation, acidity, gas, and sometimes parents are not, they don't know what to do, how to get rid of this. I have seen is like, there was a time when my child would just not eat anything, and I thought that it is like 2 days she would not use the washroom, and I thought this is her pattern and she's fine like that. But that what happened was the sonography showed that there were little remains of the waste product in her stomach, and that was giving her a lot of acidity, and that acidity was like nauseating, and it was like it won't allow her to eat, and she's not eating and she's getting weak, and she's not passing motion also, and I didn't know what to do, and that's a young child. So it's like if constipation is not dealt with, it will definitely lead to piles, fissures, whatever, So these little bit of Ayurvedic churn here and there, the Trifla churn or the Crimafin is a stool softener, or a Dufalac, There are so many things which are available, or the simple, the ginger juice, fresh ginger juice with warm water. So someone's system is a little mild, and someone's is very difficult. So it depends from person to person what will agree with you, but make sure that they are passing motion daily. What we throw out in the washroom is toxins, no? It's a waste product. So we can't retain that for two days. And also, I'm sure most of the parents know that there are suppositories which are used for children, or even for adults, to help them to pass the motion. So we spoke about the fiber part, but it's very difficult. Someone who doesn't like vegetables and they are not having, it's not a discipline, then this acidity and constipation will all come. But parents should be aware how, with the help of a proper professional, they should know what to do, because these things might give loose motions also sometimes. So it should not happen that you took a Churanka tablet, the child took a Churanka tablet but got loose motions and again got dehydrated. So it's better to do everything under guidance. Okay. So the child is probably not able to express that the child has some kind of acidity or some symptoms, but parents have to observe and know कि motion pass किया या नहीं किया. So, and vitamin D3 and B12 deficiency is actually very common. If it is common in adults, imagine, see, our children are not playing in the sun so much to get that much vitamin D. And now vitamin D, in this COVID times, you must have optimum vitamin D levels for good immunity. You must have. We should have above 40 vitamin D level. And when I see my clients' vitamin D reports, what I see is someone is 5 and someone is 8 and 10. It's so bad. And even B12, see, B12 major sources are non-veg. Even the non-vegetarian people are deficient in B12. So imagine then where will the vegetarians get their B12? So what I'm saying is, like, it's always better to consult your, whoever is your pediatrician or whatever. Like, how do I check if there are deficiencies? If you're finding that the child is very tired all the time, or, some of the other symptoms will tell you that there is deficiency, even hemoglobin for that matter. And if these deficiencies are there, you can't say that, okay, I'll expose the child to the sunlight and he will get sufficient vitamin D. No, it can't be done like that. If there is a deficiency, there has to be supplementation. So yearly there has to be a practice of getting these things checked. So I'm just sharing a few of the recipes that which will help maybe parents. Now this is a moong dal dosa. What is a moong dal dosa or a moong dal chila? See, it's like rich in protein also because it's made with dal, right? And you can add some grated vegetables, give some butter or something. So increasing the proteins, you can have this kind of a protein-based breakfast for a child, a protein-based evening snack for a child. And then again, when the swallowing problem and, the child is fussy about eating solid food, so this kind of smoothies can be made. What you put in the smoothie is your call. Anything can be put. Now, someone made a cucumber and mint smoothie. So in this kind of a summer, you can do this kind of things, Someone made a coconut milk and a spinach, baby spinach smoothie, or, a sugar-free chocolate smoothie. So many such things are, possible. Now these are cucumber sticks with hummus. The hummus is a dip which we make, chickpeas ke saath we make a dip. So the child is not wanting to eat raw cucumber, just make some kind of a mayonnaise dip or a hummus dip, you know, the child can have. This one is a moong dal appe. Like the same moong dal atta, you can make some amount of an idli or whatever out of it, a small, you know, that which they like to eat. Then this is a mixed vegetable soup. The soup might not be a, you know, just something that is not tasty or only boiled. You can just nicely stir fry in some butter or something and make. Now these are cabbage wraps. So instead of making the maida wraps or something, a paneer burji is made, and the cabbage is steamed a little bit, and this kind of a wrap is made with some cheese and all. So that also will be very something like a restaurant kind of a feel, and the child will like it. So this is all whatever best I could put and compile. I hope it was informative, but this is what I think that, you know, might help. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Varsha ma'am. That was absolutely priceless data, and you've shared with us. Thank you so much for it.
Yeah.
Varsha ma'am, I have a query for you. Tell me, see, these what you explained to us on the various importance of vitamins and proteins and carbohydrates and the deficiencies for it. But tell me something, when you have these deficiencies which are medicine induced, how do you address such kind of issues then? It won't be addressed in the same way, I understand.
Yeah, but if it is what I was trying to make my point was, understand whether adult or a child, if there is a deficiency, it has to be tackled with adequate supplementation. For example, now if you take vitamin D deficiency example, so I said the optimum level is above 40. Okay. But if your reading is if it's only 5, then for you only oral medication is not sufficient. You need injectable also, right? So the level of deficiency matters, you know. So if it is a medicine induced deficiency, answer is the same, supplementation. But in how much quantity, for how much duration, will be determined by your physician. But any deficiency, Karen, whether it is medicine induced, artificial, or whether it is you know, generally you have not eaten adequate or whatever, the answer is supplementation, and the quantity will be determined by the level of deficiency, and accordingly the dosage and the duration will be determined. But any deficiency can be covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Welcome.
I think we're having problems. Archana is, she's back. Let us just connect.
Did I take more than 20 minutes? I'm not sure.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Archana ma'am, are you there?
Yeah,
you're back.
I got disconnected, but
I understand. No problem.
Yeah.
So our next speaker, Archana Rairikar. She has done her MSc in Dietetics and Food and Service Management, PG Diploma in Dietetics and Hospital Food Service, Mumbai, BSc in Food Science Nutrition, Mumbai, Certificate in Nutrigenomics, Certified Zumba Trainer, MD Alternative Medicine and Naturopathy. She is currently working as a consulting ketogenic dietitian at Dinanath Mangeshkar Hospital, Erindwane. She has her own practice at Sattva Diet Clinic at Pune, Sate Hospital, Deccan, and Grija Hospital, Kothur, Dr. Bhaskar Harsh Clinic, Narayanpet, working with Diabetic Association, Pune chapter. Yes, Archana ma'am.
Yeah.
Please go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here on this platform. Thank you, Karan. And for me, being a dietitian, I have been working now from more than 25 years, and I feel I have been working with many patients, and always feel from my heart that diet is like a medicine. You know, diet works as a medicine, and it has got, you know, food is like a therapy. And if you take right diet, there is no need of taking any medicines. But if you take wrong diets, then your medicines or your therapies are not going to work that, you know, as efficiently as you will not be able to give them a lot of justice. So it is very important that you follow your diet properly, so that your therapy, your medicines will work in a much better fashion. So today I'm going to talk about, you know, some special diets. I'll just first share my screen. Okay. 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 Is it visible now? My screen is visible?
Yes, yes, it's a visible.
Fine. So basically today I'm going to touch a few topics like ketogenic diet for epilepsy, GFCF diet for autism, also food allergy and intolerance, food intolerance, and I'll be talking about nutritional supplements. And as we have got limited time, as Varsha said, definitely I'll try to make it little crisp, and you know, because nutrition is a vast subject, and whoever is dealing with nutrition will understand this, because we spend 1 hour at least, you know, in the clinic with one patient, counseling and discussing about their diet. So it is a huge subject, and so we'll try to make it little quick. So basically ketogenic diet, now when I say ketogenic diet, like everybody is you know, will understand that ketogenic diet has become very popular in current you know, currently it has become very popular, and people are following it for weight loss, people are following it for diabetes management. And most of the times what is happening is people are checking it out on the internet, and they are following it on their own. So that is the biggest problem of today. Google Baba Zindabad, you know, they just want to do it on their own. Like self medication is bad, self dieting is also bad. So it has become defamed, because, you know, people are trying to do it on their own, and then they get side effects. Then they said, this diet is not good at all, or, you know, it is giving us a lot of issues. So I have to tell you here that ketogenic diet is a therapeutic diet. It is not a quack diet. It is not a fad diet, but it has got therapeutic value, and it is very old diet. In 1920, ketogenic diet started, and now we are in 2021 actually. So we have completed 100 years of therapeutic ketogenic diet. So you have to, first of all, we have to remember that if someone wants to follow ketogenic diet, be it for weight loss, be it for epilepsy, we follow a certain protocol. You know, pre-diet counseling is important. Also, pre-keto investigations are important. All the blood tests and all needs to be done. And also more important is, when I talk about ketogenic diet, you know, everybody who is having epilepsy problem, they would say that we want to try this, but it is not like that. It has to come through the doctor. First, the neurophysician is the right person who will, because see, the medicines always come first. If the medicines are not working, then only this diet is recommended, because diet is not at all easy to follow. So first the diet, doctor has to go through the, you know, first we wait for few years, maybe try all the medicines, and then only the diet is recommended. And also the type of epilepsy matters, like which type it is, whether it is, like for example, if it is West syndrome, the diet works best, you know. So that way we have to work accordingly. So, but if you really need it, then definitely I would say this from my own experience. Now almost 25 years I'm working on ketogenic diet, and it is really, sometimes it is like a magic diet or like a miracle diet for some of the kids. For some kids it may not work, but for some kids it really works very well. So what exactly is ketogenic diet? We'll just speak on that. So as I said, that ketogenic diet traditionally been used for treating epilepsy. Nowadays, people are using it even for Alzheimer's, for migraine or for cancers, for tumors. So because see, our Paleolithic age, in our Paleolithic age, we used to follow this kind of diet. So nowadays they are saying that our ancestors also used to, survive on fats, survive on ketones rather, I would say ketones. So nowadays people are talking a lot about it. What exactly it is? Like Varsha has made my subject very easy, because she has already told you about carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals. So whatever food we are eating on day-to-day basis, we eat n number of things. We eat eggs, we eat chicken, we eat fruits, we eat vegetables, we eat chocolates, whatnot. We eat milk products, dairy products. So whatever you're eating, you get some natural chemicals from that food, and that is known as nutrients. Now these nutrients, mainly we talk about carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. These are the 5 important things. Apart from that, definitely fiber and other things are also important. But carbohydrate, proteins and fats, they are called as macronutrients because we need them in larger amounts, like say grams. And vitamins and minerals we need in micrograms or milligrams. So they are known as, micronutrients. We don't need them in larger amounts, but yet they are very, very important. Now in ketogenic diet, when we talk about ketogenic diet, it mimics the fasting state of the body. We have to remember that. Now from carbohydrates and fats, both are the things we use for energy. But suppose if you're fasting, or if the carbohydrates are not available to the body, then our body uses our own body fat. And when our body uses our own body fat for energy in the absence of glucose, then what happens is there is a formation of keto chemicals in the body. Okay. Now these keto chemicals via circulation, they go in the brain and they work like anti-epileptic drugs. It is very amazing that your own body is making your own medicines. So that is why I find ketogenic diet very exciting and very interesting. So fasting for indefinite period of time is not going to be possible. So ketogenic diet is a high fat diet, normal protein diet, and it is a low carb diet. But it has to be planned by a dietitian, because your child's height, weight, and everything is important. We have to maintain the ideal body weight when you're on the diet. Also, this diet is nutritionally not complete. So you need vitamins and mineral supplements when you're on this diet. And how you know that your body is ketotic? It is very easy, because it is a condition where there is an accumulation of these ketones in the body. So it can be measured in urine. We get that ketodiastics with the chemist, or nowadays online also it is available. So it is very easy to understand whether the child is ketotic or not, whether the diet is working or not. So this diet is very challenging, for Indians, because we Indians, we love carbohydrates. We eat a lot of rice and poha and idlis and, sabudana khichdi, chapatis, bhakris and all those stuff. So if you come see this graph, we Indians eat almost 65 calories from carbohydrates. We eat, most of our patients, when they come to us in the clinic and we take their dietary recall, we see that people do not eat good amount of proteins. The protein awareness is very important, and people are not really eating, a good amount of proteins in the diet. So because of that, we see that Indians only eating 10% of proteins and 25% of fats in the diet. Whereas if you see the right side, ketogenic diet, 70% calories, 70 to 80% calories are coming only from fats. So you will imagine this diet is very fatty. Okay, this diet contains a lot of fats, oily recipes, but if you do it, if you plan it properly, believe me, the kids really enjoy it. Okay. Okay. So now when you want to start ketogenic diet, it's a teamwork. You can't do it, if the person is coming to me and telling me that my child wants to start ketogenic diet, I would tell them that please go to the neurophysician, take the consent, also do the blood test. Medical management is very important. It's a, otherwise once I will put the child on the diet, he will start developing the ketones. And once the child will start making his or her own medicine, then the medicines, the anti-epileptic medicines needs to be reduced. So that management has to be done by the doctor. And dietitian's role is very important because the parents are going to have lots of questions. So the counseling, education, calculation, recipe making, follow-ups are also very, very important. So if you want to make this successful, there are lots of things that you need to take care of. The patients, his family needs to be motivated. There has to be very positive attitude. If the mother is willing to do, if she's ready to make some new recipes for the child, then the diet really goes very well. So now here, these are the some of the examples of recipes that we give to our kids. Like we get vegetarians, we get non-vegetarians, people want to eat snacks, so we make lots of Indian recipes for our kids. When we started this diet almost now 23 years back, at that time nutritional labeling was not there, product availability was a problem. But now that is not a problem. People are doing a lot of online shopping. Because of this weight loss and ketogenic diet, lots of things are available in the market. Meal replacements are available. Then new recipes we can see. So we can make lots of recipes. We have lots of alternatives. We are even making vegan keto diets, vegetarian keto diets. So, we are giving cheesecakes and whatnot. So they are very happy. Definitely we are taking a lot of efforts. So it is necessary so that the compliance. Okay. So that the compliance of the diet should be there. So because of that, you really need to, keep on giving them lots and lots of recipes. So this is about ketogenic diet. It helps controlling seizures. It is easy to use. Many people do have aversion about ketogenic diet and how I am going to do that, whether my child will accept the food or not. But with counseling, with education, it is possible. Also, it reduces the side effects of the medicines, because we know when the child is having epilepsy seizures going on, the brain gets affected and the brain development gets affected. So once you make ketones, the medicines are reduced, the side effect of the medicines also become less, they become more alert. You see lot of changes in the child's behavior. So after ketogenic diet, we are going to talk about autism diet. Okay. Now, autism diet, when we say autism diet, we talk about gluten-free and casein-free diet. Actually, if you go to see scientifically, these diets are not really proven. But whenever the parents are coming to us and they're telling us that we want to try some, diet treatment for our children, then definitely we go for gluten-free and casein-free diet. Now, what is gluten-free and casein-free? Gluten is a protein which is present in wheat. And wheat comes in our day-to-day diet. Like we eat chapatis, we eat bread, we eat biscuits, then barley, oats. Even in hing also there is some amount of gluten. So now we have to restrict the child from eating all these food items. And also casein. Now casein is a milk protein. So that when we have to restrict this milk, and you have to restrict all the dairy products like paneer, cheese, and curd, buttermilk, everything, whatever, even a milk cake, there will be some hidden things also, which we will have to see, and then accordingly we have to be very careful. Otherwise it is of no use. You have to do it 100%. Okay. So now this mainly is given to reduce the symptoms. This is not going to be the cure, complete cure from the problem, because autism is not going to get cured completely. But definitely if the symptoms are reduced, the child is happy, the parents are happy, the child's behavior gets improved. So it is worth trying. Okay. Again, we have seen with all the children, it is not going to work. But with education, with counseling, with recipe planning, these things are possible. Because many people, again, they get scared when you say no wheat, no milk and milk products. But believe me, there are lots of alternatives in the market. There is almond milk, there is soya milk, there is rice milk. There are many meal replacements which are available. So definitely you can make because our mentality is such that, morning we want to eat poha, or we want to eat some paratha, then we want to eat chapati and vegetable, then again evening we want to eat some paratha or this kind of things. So we have to come out of it and we can try beautiful recipes and the kids are very happy. So what exactly happens, let's see, in this kind of diet? It is said that when the gluten and casein is given, it causes inflammation of the intestinal lining. And because of this, there is leaky gut. And when this happens, this peptide, like, there are some, peptides produced by gluten or they are produced by casein, they enter in the intestinal membrane. And because of that, which is, see, this is normally, this doesn't happen. This happens only with, because these kids are sensitive to this kind of food items. So when this happens, they get discomfort, and when there is discomfort, automatically the behavioral changes comes and they feel very restless. So when you stop this food, we do not allow these factors to enter in the intestinal membrane, and automatically there is healing of gut, and automatically the symptoms are relieved, and you see a lot of changes in the child's behavior. But again, I would like to say that you have to try it 100%. People try it half-heartedly. Thoda chapati band kar diya, and it is not like that. You have to consult a dietitian, really find out, where all the gluten is coming from, the casein is coming from. So you have to work very carefully with the diet. Now, very interestingly, I get, different children for different diets. I have tried this diet, gluten-free and casein-free diets in ADHD kids. Even in skin issues, I have tried this diet, hyperactivity, digestion issues, stamina, poor muscle tone, lethargy, food allergies and food intolerance, autoimmune diseases. I have tried this diet, and this diet has really helped many of my clients, many of my patients. I have seen there are a lot of changes in their skin, hyperactivity has reduced, also digestion problem, has gone. Parents give very good feedback, and fortunately with the counseling and all, they're able to follow the diet with the recipe planning and all that. And after, this is not for autism, this is for other issues. When I see the results, then after certain months, slowly we introduced buttermilk, curd, and other things, and I see they are still maintaining the good results. Even after that, it is not getting triggered. So sometimes halting gluten or halting dairy products for few months also we have seen is working for the kids. So definitely it is worth trying. Then it is not only that we have to only stop gluten and only stop casein, but for, this is, I'm talking about other kids and also for autism. You have to also work on stopping simple sugars, refined carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates like breads and biscuits, food chemicals like colors, then artificial sweeteners also, then flavors, Ajinomoto, that is monosodium glutamate, refined oil. So we are eating lots of chemicals, and poor children, we are giving chemicals to them also. As it is, we are surrounded by, there is so much pollution around us, and we are drinking from plastic bottles, we are making in aluminum kadhai. So we are eating lots of chemicals. So if you stop these chemicals along with the gluten-free and casein-free diet, you see wonderful results. Now, not only that, the another level is top up the diet with lot of micronutrients. Now, when we talk about micronutrients, naturally or also sometimes by giving supplements, how we can increase micronutrients naturally. We plan lot of smoothies for the kids. Like there are different smoothies, there are kids friendly smoothies. Generally for adults, we use green smoothie and red smoothie. So we give lots of different smoothies so that they get micronutrients. Because if you tell them to eat vegetables, sometimes they get very lazy. We try to add it in the paratha or something, but if you tell them to drink this smoothie, we try to make it tasty also so that they will be able to have it very happily. So that can be given. Now probiotics also, we are not giving any curd or buttermilk over here. So sometimes supplements are required. I have seen good results with supplements. So, and zinc, B vitamins, protein supplements, especially for children with poor muscle tone, protein supplement can be given. Then again, I avoid whey protein. Maybe I can go for something like vegan protein supplement. Curcumin is very good wherever there is a neurological, problem. There is a strong evidence that if you give curcumin supplements, now again, curcumin supplements are for adults, we get different, and for children we have different doses. There are some smaller tablet, chewable tablets, so that can be given. Curcumin reduces neuroexcitability of the brain, so automatically the hyperactivity goes down. Even it works on epilepsy kids. Also, we all know that omega-3 fatty acids are good for brain. Many people are vegetarians, they don't get their omega-3 fatty acids, so even these supplements really do work. Then we do get sometimes, kids with different allergies. Like we all know that egg, milk, peanut allergies are common. Then also wheat allergy, soya allergy. These allergies are common. Many children, they outgrow these allergies after certain, years. But definitely, if it is causing a problem, sometimes they go to the doctor, sometimes they do not go to the doctor. Sometimes we do have reports in front of us, pura allergy ka. Sometimes we do not have. So we have to try elimination diet. Now the challenge is if we are stopping certain food, like maybe wheat also, or maybe simple like milk and eggs also. Again, it is a dietitian's responsibility to see to it that the child is not missing on any nutrition. Because if you're eliminating something, you need to give alternative so that the child's nutritional needs should be met. So it is very important for us to plan the diet accordingly so the child will not miss out on any nutrients. And if we see that then they are still missing out, and if they're getting the allergy issues with this kind of food, then we can stop these foods for some time, or the supplements can be given. They take doctors, anti-allergens also can be taken. So definitely we can work with the doctors on this topic. Then what are the benefits of doing all these things? So there is a lot of improvement in the digestion, improved muscle tone that I have seen one child, especially I want to share this experience. He used to have a lot of nasal congestion, and he was not able to sleep, and the mother also used to be awake along with the child, and that he's not able to sleep because of this problem. So luckily with the diet, this reduced. He started sleeping, the mother started sleeping happily, and she was so relieved. She said after this diet the immunity has improved, the sleep has improved. So these things happens, and then they feel very happy. So also very important that if you put the child on this kind of diet, they respond to different therapies. Like when their concentration, if a child is coming to you with hyperactivity, and with the child, if the hyperactivity is reduced, definitely he's going to sit for the therapy with longer time, with full focus, with full concentration. So your therapists are happy. Speech therapist or physiotherapist, they give you this kind of feedback. If the muscle tone is better, then the exercises are better. So they tell you, the parents tell, especially when I get comments from physiotherapists, I'm more happy, because more than the parents, I know that they are working with the kids and they are giving me the right feedback. So this kind of things happen. So automatically the child gets benefits, more better flexibility, and I think therapies I have already said. And this is it. Thank you very much for kind listening. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Archana ma'am, for educating us on so many aspects of food. Yes, I do agree with you about the keto diet, because I tried it out on my daughter myself, and she had so many allergy problems which were medicine induced. And with the keto diet, her the threshold of her allergies did reduce, as well as, and in 10 months she lost something like 17 kilos. Yeah, so it was very effective in that case. I wish it would have been more effective on her with her epilepsy. Unfortunately, she had an allergy to fats itself, so wasn't able to sustain the keto diet. But yes, it does have its we did have its moments, and we were very happy about the keto diet. but very difficult to do, ma'am. Very, very difficult.
No, but now with, I think you have done it some years back,
Yes,
right?
yes, we had
Yeah.
done nearly.
Now the things are much, much better. Now people who are coming on this diet, they are getting lots to eat and they're getting lots of meal replacements and, so we have really good recipes.
That's
So if you're
wonderful.
interested, share the recipe just for, I'm not saying go on ketogenic diet, but definitely I can share those recipes with you.
Lovely.
But very interesting. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Our last speaker this evening, Bhavani Swaminathan. Bhavani Swaminathan, nutritionist and certified diabetes educator, founder of Akansha, Desire for Wellness. She has 17 years of experience, currently doing a research on type 2 diabetes reversal through food, lifestyle modification, and chakra healing meditation. She also does diet counseling for kids, as it's very important to inculcate healthy eating habits in kids. She has a simple take on food. Home cooked meal is a labor of love. Her prime aim is to spread the word on the magic which one's own kitchen can create. Over to you, Bhavani ma'am.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for inviting me on this live show. I'm really thankful to you, and Varsha and Archana, both of them have made the things very easier because almost all the points they have discussed, in this, and they were all, the practical points which can be done. For me, so what I would like to touch upon is some of the things, like the problems which the kids have, especially the deficiencies. So when we talk about the deficiencies of vitamin and especially the vitamin B12 and B3 deficiency, and also touching the point that is weight and constipation problem, because weight is something, as Varsha said, if the kid is very heavy, now practically the parent, the parent has to lift the child, how he or she is going to lift, because it's very difficult. So weight management is very important in these kids. So now what all things, especially when we talk about is the constipation issue, because that's a thing which is generally seen in kids, so now because the child, one thing is, does not want to eat certain things, maybe he does not like it, some or the other annoying problem is there, he does not want to go for it. So now if the eating, as I always believe, 80% is food and the rest 20% is exercise, because food plays a very important role in everybody's life. So now how we can deal with such type of problem where the kid is suffering from constipation, and because see in typical Ayurveda language, there is something called as ama, which is in English we call it as toxin. Okay, so Ayurveda determines that there are 3 types of constitution. They call it is said as prakriti, that is vata, pitta and kapha prakriti. So a person is dominated by one of the prakriti. Okay, it can be either vata, or it can be pitta, or it can be kapha. Okay, now based on this formula, like when the child, when the kid is getting this constipation, why he is getting the constipation? Because the food which he's eating, that food is not getting digested. Why the food is not getting digested, there are several reasons for this. Now what happens is, ये जो food है जब digest नहीं हो रहा है, so that is remaining inside the stomach, and that causes ama, which is toxin, and that might lead to some other diseases. Okay, and that's the reason at a very young age it is the responsibility of the parents to overcome with this problem. The child has to get rid of this problem. Now what are the things which we can do as a parent, so that we can help the child? Now, in this case, there are certain home remedies which can be tried, as Varsha had already spoken about the Ayurveda, Trifla Churna. Trifla Churna is something, that can be given to the kid. But apart from that, there are certain food, that can be given to the kid so that he is, he gets rid of the constipation. Now, in this, what can be done is, number one is, make the child eat apple in the morning. When the child is eating apple in the morning, it has got both soluble and insoluble soluble fiber that will help to get rid of constipation. Secondly, giving the child with lemon juice and some amount of honey to it in the morning, warm water, honey and lemon juice, that will also help you to get rid of the constipation. Okay, now these are certain small home remedies which can be done. And even as Archana mentioned, that curcumin is something which is really helpful now in this CCD. When you go nowadays, the youngsters, they go and have this turmeric latte, spending so much of money. And that was the thing which Dadi used to give in the childhood days, just adding milk and turmeric powder. So something like these small changes in the dietary patterns can help the kid to get rid of constipation. That is one thing. And because once the stomach is clear, that means the other problems will not get associated to it. Moving on to the vitamin deficiencies, so vitamin D3, again, if the child is made to sit right from the morning 8 o'clock to evening 5 o'clock, and we expect that the child is going to get sufficient amount of vitamin D is going to get absorbed in the body, no, it will not happen. Okay, so there are certain reasons for this, that why in spite of sitting 8 hours or 10 hours under the sunlight, why the person is not going to get the sufficient amount of vitamin D3. But then for this, yes, it is important, say morning, and especially during this pandemic time, when we are not going out, when the kid is not allowed to go out. So at this particular time, we have to make sure that there are certain things where the parents have to actually do for the kids. Now that is one thing is, morning, if they are able to go step out of the house, that is fine. The child can be taken for some time wherein the child is wearing very, the transparent kind of clothing and loose clothing, so that the sunlight is getting penetrated to the skin. And that is, as per Ayurveda, it is said that the sunlight has to be from your forehead to your chest, if you are getting proper amount of sunlight. So that is really going to help you to get the sufficient amount of vitamin D. Now this is for 15 to 20 minutes. This is one thing which can be done. The second thing is some kind of food that has to be included in the diet. When I talk about food, so there is, these are a very simple home remedies which you might be thinking that, how is it possible? But these are, believe me, dried up, and those dried mushrooms can be later used to make soups, or you can add it to your sambar, or you can add it to your dal. That is going to add on to vitamin D. That is one thing. Okay, another thing is the pickles. Now the thing is, for kids, pickles is something, the child might not like to have, but for a little grown up person, okay, so he would like to, we can just inculcate this habit of giving pickle. Now how to give the pickle? Because the paketed, the bottled ones which we buy from the market, those are processed, so that is of no use. It is not going to supply with anything. But there are homemade pickles. You can make it at home, or you can get it from someone who is making it home. So those pickles can be put under the sunlight for some time, and that will also help to give the sufficient amount of vitamin D. And another thing is, the simplest and the best thing, you do not do anything, just keep a bottle. I'll show you. This is my bottle which I have. This is a steel bottle. Even if you the glass jar, if you have, that's really good. You just fill water, keep it under sunlight for 3 to 4 hours, or maybe just 2 hours, and make the child drink that water, because these are very minor things, very easy things which can be done, to supplement vitamin D naturally. Moving on to the vitamin B12 deficiency, as it is rightly said, and nowadays, because it was 10 years back, a decade ago, nobody knew that there is something called as vitamin B12 deficiency, but now it has become a very regular common feature. Everybody, I mean, out of 10, I think 6 people are suffering from this deficiency. Now, what can be done, for vitamin D deficiency? Because naturally, as Varsha and Archana have already mentioned, that it's the non-vegetarian food consists of more of vitamin B12 that way. So another thing is, if you are a vegetarian, now for me, for example, I am a vegetarian, so it doesn't mean that I'm not going to get that sufficient amount of vitamin B12. So how do I do? What do I do? So there are certain food which you can include in your diet, and that can be the best thing is which can be done is the fermented food. Now, when I say fermented, people what usually do is, the batter, dosa or the idli batter is made and it is put it in the refrigerator. I'll give you just small example. It's like, I have planned to supply this batter to my whole apartment, and ultimately I put it in the refrigerator and I'm using it every day. One day dosa, one day idli, one day appam, one day something else. So it is carried on for 7 to 8 days, which should not be done. Fermented means it has to be, the batter is made, it is fermented for 7 to 8 hours. Next day you have it, max to max the next day, 2 days, not more than that. So first option, the best option is the fermented food. Make the child eat, these kind of fermented food that is going to supply with naturally to the body with the vitamin B12. So these are, certain points which can be taken into consideration. Apart from that, when we talk about the healthy fat, and especially I wanted to actually talk about the gluten-free and casein-free diet, which Archana has already spoken. So I'm not going to touch that part. But the thing is, you actually can, parents actually can make a lot of different varieties of smoothies, vegan smoothies, because we want casein free. So there are number of vegan smoothies which you can make it at home. You need not even go to the market and buy almond milk and cashew milk. It can be easily made at home, even by using certain millets, adding to these vegan smoothies. That is going to be really tasty, and the child will love to have that. Because see, when you make it interesting, the child will never say no to that. When we at this age, when someone is serving a very boring food and which is not colorful, which is nothing, we don't feel like eating. So there are certain, changes in our, when we prepare food, so that has to be done. So gluten-free and casein-free diet is something which you can actually make a lot of recipes and serve to the kids. Kids will definitely love those things. Moving on to the fats part, there are, lot good fats, like, which is already again discussed when we talk about the omega-3 or fatty acid, omega-6 and ALA. So now ALA is something, which we get from the flaxseed and other kind of seeds, which has to get converted into omega-3. So this is something which maybe, the children with such kind of problem might not be able to do it. So directly we have to supply omega-3 fatty acid. That can be supplied in the form of either fish, if the child is non-vegetarian eater. So fish is a very good source of omega-3 fatty acid. Other alternative is for vegetarians is walnuts, cashew nuts, almonds, peanuts. These can be given. Okay, now this is why this is important is omega-3 is fatty acid is important is because it contains two components, which is EPA and DHA. They are very important for every cell level activity to grow. So that's the reason why. And whenever the child is, when you feel like the child is hungry, you don't understand what has to be given. So give some cashews, give some almonds, and maybe, these, things which is easily chewable, the child can try, to eat those things. So these things can be given because the reason is they are, healthy fats. Okay, because chewing, and at times we have also observed this, that chewing and swallowing becomes difficulty. Once if the child is not chewing, if the child is just swallowing the food, so there will be a problem for digesting the food. So these things, some children, we also have seen this, they don't like the crunchy food, because once they that crunchiness starts happening in their mouth, mouth, they don't like, so they even sometimes they spit it out, they don't like. So accordingly, the parent has to actually think and give food to the kid. And when we talk about sugar, just, sugar is something which we know it's a white poison. Actually, it is called as sugar is, it's not easily digestible, which are a lot of harmful effects of sugar are there. They raise the acidic level in the body and all these things. So what we can do, because see, for a child, any child for that matter, let us take, the children love to eat sweets. Okay, now if we stop them, because at times it so happens the child is not eating anything, so the mother feels, okay, fine, let the child have some sweet. Now we have to think of some other healthier alternatives for sugar. Now, when I'm saying healthier alternatives for sugar, that might be the best option, might be, dates. Then you can go for mishri. Now, mishri is like, the not the diamond mishri. The mishri is again, very much in the textbooks of Ayurveda, it is mentioned very much. It is said that it has a cooling effect. So these mishris are in the rock form, patthar jaise hote hain, and string is there. So these are the correct mishris. And the one more best option is jaggery. Now jaggery in summer, it might be a little trouble, because it creates heat. So, but then still we can use these alternatives to make some sweet at home, rather than buying and giving the kid, or maybe, making some sweets using sugar. So let us use these healthier alternatives, make some healthy sweets at home. So the kid, is enjoying, he's interested to eat that thing. At the same time, we are not bothered, we are not, stressed that his weight is going to increase, or he won't be able to digest, or, something is going to go wrong. So those things will not happen. So there are, certain things, and again, artificial colors, artificial, food additives, sweeteners, and artificial flavors. When you go and see now, mangoes are now available, it's in season. So make, amras is very common in our community. So we can make, adding without sugar, you can add some substitute, like, you can add a little bit of mishri to it. Like what I do is I add mishri, so that is sweet also, and it is not going to harm, the health. So these things can be done, and these artificial flavors to be avoided. And one last point is, trans fats. Now, trans fats are something which has to be really avoided for the kids. Parents have to take into consideration, taking out, opening the packet and having chips, or maybe, biscuits and bakery products and all these things. They contain a lot of trans fats, which means, I mean, even at home, when we are making puris, if in the same oil, if we are heating it again and again, and the puris are being made, that also converts into trans fat, which we call it as, rancid. The oil becomes rancid, which is very, very harmful. So these are, few points that can be taken into consideration, when we are feeding the kids. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhavani, for your valuable insights on nutrition, and appreciate your take on food. Yes, I'd like to close the session. I would like to give a very important advice to the special needs community is that please read labels on all food packages before you buy it. Stay away from anything you do not understand. Stay away from the chemicals, artificial ingredients, pesticides, nitrites, aspartame, and other harmful ingredients.
Yes.
Focus on real food. Overcoming the biggest nutritional challenges of children with special needs is a complex issue that is sometimes within and sometimes beyond a parent's grasp. Yet, to the extent we can, it is vital to ensure that our children enjoy the colorful, flavorful, rich textured world of healthy food, and to get their heart's content eating real food. Stay well, stay healthy. A big thank you to all our esteemed speakers this evening for their valuable inputs and enlightening us on the world of food. Thank you all so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.